Dental Fuel, the podcast that focuses on what no one else is talking about: mistakes. The dental world is full of before and afters, and no one is talking about the middle. Dental Fuel brings you the unspoken in between. Dental Fuel is brought to you by Doctors Disability Specialists, a team dedicated to helping dentists and physicians with disability insurance, life insurance, and comprehensive business planning. Disability insurance and making connections? What does that have to do with a financial mistake? In this episode, Dr. Johnson talks about a financial mistake that she's made and how she learned from it. Moving on to a financial mistake, I would love to hear about a financial mistake that you have made in life that you learned from, other than going to dental school. Which we all know.
I'm going to actually have to say that when I went to dental school, it was like at a really good time. So I was fortunate on that matter. So I know the amount of debt that everyone's graduating with now is crazy. So staggering compared to like when I went to school. Mm-hmm. So I really feel that pain. But I think honestly for me, it was not getting disability insurance early on. What I'm finding is that many of my colleagues, the price goes up the older we get. Maybe there's enough light here that I won't look quite so old, right? But at the same time, you want to lock that in. But I've seen so many young folks start to have problems: back problems, hand problems, wrist problems, neck problems, and that disability insurance really helped them. And I was a little bit late coming to that game. So I would say that was probably the biggest mistake that I feel like I've made financially at that point. And then just not having a good financial planner, one that would jive with me. I had a financial planner. They were too rigid, too square for me and my risk. So I think that relationship, you have to find someone who mirrors what you want, so that way you can exceed. Then on a personal level, I will tell you, whenever I made that transition back from Florida back to Kentucky, I really felt like I could do it all, right? And so for several years, my mom was terminally ill. My father had cancer at the time. And I was trying to help with the family, but I was still trying to run the practice, and I was flying back and forth every week. Right. And I was young. I could do this, right?
We can all do it all when we're young.
I could do that for days and days and days. And what ended up happening is I depleted all my funds. I didn't get help soon enough. And so then whenever I sold my practice, I basically, for lack of a better word, I just gave it away to deal with the headache. And that's on a very personal level, so we can always talk about those mistakes. But I think profoundly, that was one of the things for me. And had I had it to go back and do over, I would have reached out for help sooner and just had a really good professional help me. Yeah. And maybe say, hey, you got to do this a little different.
For both of those mistakes, did you feel like you didn't know about the resources available at the time?
So that's a good question, because I would say I didn't know. I was that time, 30, 31. So I didn't know, but I also was like, well, I can't afford them. I don't have the time. I kept blowing it off. I don't know. I just felt like it was going to be further in the future. It wasn't something that I was dealing with now. And I've learned that you really just have to set things up for catastrophic type situations, because they do happen. Mm-hmm. Not to be like a Debbie Downer on that aspect, but things can and will happen that can steer you wrong ways. And I didn't grow up in a financially brilliant type of a family. My dad was a coal miner, kind of machinist. We didn't have a lot. So it was tough. I wish I would have just gotten help sooner. So having the right resources, being connected to the right people. Early in your career, finding people that you can connect with, that understand your goals, not their goals for you, right, but your goals, and can help you get there based on where you are now, but what your future self wants to be. So
I will say that I feel like dental schools are doing better as far as bringing information in with regard to disability insurance, right. Potentially dental insurance as well too. Maybe. But financial management, and it's not there. No, it's not there. No. So, buying is huge for those who want to, acquire a practice, right, start their own, but selling, I'm sure it's own little thing as well too, or a big thing, really. Yeah. can only imagine that was a really stressful time for you.
Yeah.
And you kind of just, I can see that. You kind of just wanted to get to the next thing.
Well, you get to the point where, it was just like, okay, I need to move on. So great for the people who purchased it, kind of a standpoint. But I'm like, had I just had folks to help me with that and like look at the big picture or just really realize who I was and where things were going, a year earlier, totally different ballgame.
I got to ask, would you ever own again?
Absolutely. 100%.
Very cool.
Yeah, no, I think, again, you can practice dentistry in the way that you want. And I've practiced it in DSOs, educational settings that I helped out with, like federally qualified health centers and things like that. I love public health for folks. Like, there's just a lot of ways to practice. But owning your own, for me, it's just great. I get to treat patients the way I would want to be treated. I take care of them the way that I want to take care of them, and no one can tell me to do that differently. So without fail. Now, would I do it smarter? Oh, yeah.
100%, I'm sure.
Yeah. No, you get your team together. And you realize, again, you don't know what you don't know. And you learn to ask for help earlier or seek out things to help balance out. Deficiencies might be a strong word. But that's how I have deficiencies in some of those things. It's not something I understand well or think about. And I don't enjoy researching it, enough to have a conversation maybe, but, I don't want to spend my whole day thinking about that. So there are other people who that's what they do. Like, they love doing that. And I'm like, great, you love doing what you do. I love doing what I do. So you take care of me and then I can take care of everybody else.
If you're listening and you feel like you need help with one of these aspects, we can definitely help you. And if we can't, I'm sure Dr. David Rice can find the right person for you. I think that's one of the great things about our community is that even if we can't help, we'll find a way to help.
Right.
And I think that we're just here to help each other out and help grow individuals and the entire profession as a whole.
Yeah. Elevate onward and upward, right? Ignite the passion. So I agree.
Yeah. Join us on our next episode where Dr. Johnson will talk about team building and a team mistake. Be sure to connect with Dr. Johnson on Instagram at SuperSmileyChick and with Ignite DDS at Ignite DDS. You can find me on Instagram at tsmyss.dds. And be sure to check out our sponsor, Dr. Disability Specialist.